Good morning. I am going to declare a quorum and call the Groton Utilities Commission / Water Pollution Control Authority meeting for August 19th, 2020 to order. We're in the council chambers and a Zoom meeting. Zoom meeting number is 927-4250-3411. So we'll call the meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Roll call. Commissioner Scully, Duarte, Zuliani, and Chairman Hendrick are here. Approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 15, 2020.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for July 2020.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Communications is correspondence. There's an email from Chief Spellman talking about the positive things about the utility from the outage. I also want to get on the back of that and praise Groton Utilities and the Bosro Light and Power for the efforts that they did. I think we were down less than 24 hours in our whole service territory with the exception of Bosra. Bosra is a heavily wooded area and they had some huge trees that went down. And so it took them a couple of days to get through. But we were by and large in the Groton Utilities territory up within 24 hours or so. In the Bosra Light and Power territory, only about 3 days down. So that was tremendous. And a lot of that is due to the maintenance that we do. A lot of that is due to the aggressive tree cutting campaign that we have. And there's a lot of discussion that's out there now. I've had calls from Colchester, they want to join. I've had calls in the town of Groton, they want to expand. I have reached out to a couple of people I'm going to call the legislators. Somebody called up and said, hey, we want to be into your territory. So it's going to have to go. If anything happens that the municipal utilities are allowed to expand, it's got to come from the state. It's going to go through the regulatory process and everything else, and it's going to be ugly and messy and expensive. So, but I do think it is an opportunity for us, and therefore I've reached out to the legislators to talk to them and say, where do we go from here? So that's that. Anything else on communications or correspondence?
Mayor, this is Mark Byron. I do have a quick summary of the storm outages if you want to hear it now, since you were just talking about it, or you want to wait.
Let's do that under new business.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Zuliani.
Were there any complaints? I know we did well. Did anybody think that we didn't do well at all?
Tina, you would know that. Did we receive any complaints from either Groton Utility side or from Bosra, but mostly from Groton Utility, since that's what this meeting is?
GU, we had a couple of them in Groton Long Point because they kept going up and down, but nothing out of the ordinary. And actually, the individuals that actually were in the Groton Long Point area that did complain, they actually called back and said thank you. So I guess it's tongue in cheek. So
okay,
Good.
I saw a few complaints on the
Yeah.
Facebook page, but they were overwhelmingly more supportive comments.
yeah, I monitored the Bosra Facebook page too, and you're right. There were a couple comments there, but once they realized that there was in this one area, there's a huge tree down, and that took a while to get the tree down. One of the things that we are going to do is we're going to do a PSA on power outages, and I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it, but I'm going to do it here pretty quickly. And that is, I want to take this opportunity while people are thinking about power the PSA will cover, one, what do we do up front to minimize the potential for having an outage? And then when you have a storm and the power goes out and then the storm is over, when you turn your light switch on, why does power not come back right on, right? Because Groton Utilities is a victim of their own success. If we ever get to a power outage where we're more than 24 hours or say 2 days, people are going to go through the roof because we are so efficient. The utility is so efficient and is so responsive that people have gotten used to that response and they expect that response every single time. So it's one of these kind of things. So it's not as simple as storm's over, turn your lights on and everything's going to come back on again. Right? You still gotta verify power out. You gotta make sure that it's de-energized. You gotta remove the tree and the debris. You gotta inspect. And then once you inspect it, are we restringing or are we gonna string new wire? Then you gotta test it. I mean, George, you know all this, you were hands on it. Mm-hmm. But the average individual doesn't understand this. What they know is the storm's over, why don't I have power? And one of the things that I think Dan did a great job, Dan Bose did a great job on in the Facebook post, was managing expectations and letting people know, here are the steps, here's what we're doing. And you don't commit to a time because things happen. And if you say power's going to be on by 5 o'clock and it's on at 5:05, that 5 minutes is just the phones are blowing up. Right? It's not, oh, thank you for getting my power back. It's, dadgummit, why didn't you get it back on time? You said 5 and it's 5:05. So, but part of it is about educating the public so that they know what's going on, know the steps and those kind of things. And most people will be responsive to that. So I think now is a good time to do the PSA and we'll do something like that. I don't know who's going to do it. Talk to Dan about it and we'll figure something out.
So in 1985, Glory is the worst storm we've ever had here.
Yeah.
We turned our last customer on 8 days later. So we have 8 days, yes.
Yeah.
Well, even if you think about Hurricane Sandy, if you look at Sandy, it took us, I don't know, 12, 48 hours maybe, or 3 days maybe was the longest, I think. And that's with Sandy. Sandy was an absolute mess. Going down Superior.
Beach Pond?
Beach Pond, thank you. Going down Beach Pond Road, when I went down there, you couldn't see, there was so much sand on there, you couldn't tell where one sidewalk was from that side.
Yeah.
And there were cabana doors laying all over the thing, and oh my gosh, it was just crazy. And then power was out, and we had puddles everywhere, and those kind of things. But even during Sandy, the longest, like I said, I think the longest anybody was out was 3 days. We lost power when we're in Shanticosset Parkway. We lost it for just a little less than 24 hours, which was, I'm like, wow. And I had, at that time, I was working with AECOM, and I had reached out to all the department heads to check on their staffs. And we had people that, when one person lived in Preston, they didn't get their power back for like 6 weeks. It's crazy. So, and we'll talk more about storm response here in a minute. But I said, any other communication and correspondence from commissioners? Okay, public communications. In response to State of Connecticut Executive Order Number 7B, protection of public health and safety during COVID-19 pandemic and response, further suspension or modification of statutes dated March 14, 2020, suspending in-person open meeting requirements. All public meetings will be closed to the public at this time. Public meetings will be televised in real time in Groton Municipal Television Channel 2 and online. If you wish to address the commission, please call 860-446-4130 during the public communications part of the agenda. In addition, written communications sent to the director's office at grotonutilities.com by 9 a.m. on the day of the meeting will be read during the course of this agenda. I do have a correspondence from San Spano, and in San Spano, 300 Sing Street. There's been no improvement in the odor situation at the WPCA since July 15, 2020, until the commission meeting. Odor days since 7/15, Saturday 7/18, Saturday 7/25, Sunday 7/26, Monday 7/27, Monday 8/3, Tuesday 8/4, Tuesday 8/11, Monday 8/17. I suspect there have been more odor days than those documented above, but it depends on the wind direction. Also, due to the heat wave, I've been running my air conditioner quite a bit, so my house has been closed up. In addition, I've been away for some time, both in late July and August, in early August. I'm disappointed to find out the permanent air monitor for the top of the scrubber stack is still not been installed. Without this, the scrubber cannot be eliminated as a potential source for the odors. Also, I've not heard anything as to whether GU management has determined if there is any pattern to the odor days for May, June, July, and now August. Maybe this could be addressed at this meeting. Another thing that should be noted, primary backup pump, which originally was scheduled for installation in December 2019, has still not been installed. While I understand the lack of this pump has no bearing whatsoever on the odor situation, it would be nice to have the additional backup if there is a failure of pump 1 or number 2. We are now more than 13 months since odor problems began in 7/8/19. To say that I am unhappy with things have not improved is a major understatement. Thanks. I thank the commissioners for your help in advance. So comments from the commissioners?
We address this at old business.
Yeah, we will when we get to the PAF odor update. Mark, I'll get you to address these during the old business.
No problem, I'm ready.
Okay? All right, anything else under public communication? Thank you. Moving on, regional water update. Director.
No update, unless Mark, you or Ray have an update.
I think Rick had some words to say, but Rick was called out to notify the state of that water main or the water service that got pulled out. So he's working on that right now. If he comes back in, we can go back to that and ask him that.
Just so the commission knows, a contractor pulled up a water main service on Eastern Front.
Yep.
Just for fire.
Hold on, I may have something.
We still water.
They turned off the 5.
They turn off the explanation.
Oh, all right.
There was impact on Eastern Point Road. You know what, I'll pull it up. Let me pull that up real quick.
Was there a call before you did?
Yes.
So at least they knew where to pick it up. So it's 9:15, 9:21, 9:29, 9:39, Eastern Point Road, 9:14, and 9:20 Eastern Point Road. So that's right there around where that the new construction up there
Right.
off the golf course is being conducted. So I also have something from Rick that I do want to make sure we're. That is not it. Hold on, let me get to my.
Mayor, was that the brown water issue for Sam?
No, I'm going to get to that too.
Okay.
But the thing I want to talk about was I want to talk about drought. So in case you haven't noticed, we didn't get a whole lot of rain. We finally did get some steady rain, which helped. But before that, we were in a drought condition. And Rick Stevens is our drought coordinator. And the present drought classification is moderate. Our impoundage, or the amount of water that we have, is 84%. So we're at 84% capacity of our reservoirs. Thank you, sorry, of our reservoirs. And so now 84% is a decrease. It was, I think, in 85 or a little bit higher. The source water is groundwater is 25%. That's a decrease. I think that was between 25 and 30 last time he reported. The daily demand is 7.2 million gallons per day. We have excess capacity over that. I forget what our safe yield is, but I think we can go to something like 9.4 easily, million gallons per day. That's not an issue. So if you remember, for those of you that have been around the area for for long enough when Pfizer was in the production capability. They were using, we overall were using around 9 point something million gallons per day. So we still have that capacity if we need to go there. So that's the issue about the drought. The issue that Mark was talking about, let me find that email.
So Mayor Rick Stevens is now present in the room.
Okay.
If you have questions.
Yeah, let's let Rick talk about regional water issues and about the SAM issue on water, and I'll quit talking. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, the main things, in fact, Bruce and I were talking about it this morning, is Aquarion's been taking more water during this moderate drought per day. They've been pretty consistent. I know the Mohegans did a major flushing of their casino, which did cause us 2 weeks ago. I think Mark brought you up to speed on that, but that also was water consumption on that part of it. And then Ray went forward and has the plans and specifications for the connection, Pocatonic Cove. He sent those to NPU to have their engineers look at it to validate that. In terms of the other thing, association with Aquarion, in terms of possible interconnections, the draft plans were sent to Aquarion's consultant. And all the questions they asked, we answered them and sent them to them, and they're now considering that going forward.
Rick, could you comment just on what you found at Sam's?
So regarding Mr. Spano and the neighbor, we pulled the meters, we flushed, we sampled, we did all the analysis. Everything meets all the public health code standards. And while we were there, Russ happened to notice that Mr. Spano has a brass service. And you know, Mayor, the properties of dissimilar metals cause corrosion, accelerate corrosion. So he advised Mr. Spano of that accord. However, this morning, someone pulled out a corporation when they were doing the sewer work there on Eastern Point. So it's all repaired as of now, but we are flushing from Tyler down. So there may be some discolored water in the city until we can get that cleared up.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Hold on a minute. I want to bring everybody up to speed because this is a conversation you and I have been having for a couple of days, and the commission is unaware, maybe unaware of this. There was some discolored water over in Navy housing. The way I found out about it was on Facebook. I mean, everything goes on Facebook. But there was the excessive flushing that we think caused that. Now that's over up by the base, and that is a separate and distinct issue from an email that I received from Sam Spano with pictures of a discolored filter. The filter that Sam's using and that Bonnie's using, Bonnie's and Sam's are a little bit different, but they both look like they're the cotton wound water filters. There are a couple of different media you can use. You can use polypropylene. You can use a cotton wound kind of thing. But really what you're looking at is not so much the media that you're using as to whether or not it's like a 0.5 micron filter or a 1 or whatever, meaning removal of the particle size. So Sam said he's noticed more debris. So I talked to Rick about, hey, could it be something we're doing? Do we need to flush? Those kind of things. But because we know that after we flush hydrants, because of the hydraulic shock that you get to the pipe, you get some stuff that comes off. The challenge we have is our water itself measures satisfactorily, whatever the microgram per milliliter is, ends up being parts per billion, those kind of things. So we're meeting those requirements. But if you run them through a filter, the filter is a concentrator. So the filter is going to mechanically filters the stuff and it gets discolored. And so people automatically say, oh, look, here's what's in the water. This is bad. It's not bad. The filter is doing what it's supposed to do. But the water quality, and we measured it at Sam's house this morning. And I think, Rick, did you say you checked Bonnie's house too?
Yes, both were done by our meter service department.
Okay, thank you. So Sam's right there on the corner, buying 625 Fort, right behind Miles McDougal. And so, we check and change out the filters, and so we'll just continue to monitor, see what's going on. The report that Rick gave me, and I think verbally reported, was all parameters were analyzed and met the requirement. So it's not that we're producing out of spec water. And that's really that's the thing that I wanted to make sure that we're getting to, because very quickly people could say, oh my God, Danger Will Robinson, we got a Flint, Michigan moment. This has nothing to do with that. But sometimes people feel that their voices may not be heard. And then next thing you know, we're tried by court of public opinion in the day newspaper. So I want to make sure we got our arms around it. It looks like we do. I think we're going to be okay on this. I want to make sure that the commission was aware. So thank you, Rick. Anything else on regional water?
No,
No.
Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, FY 20 and the monthly financial highlights. Where are we? Edie, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the, I'm going to go over with the commissioners of the.
And just speak up for the speaker. No, the speaker has the mic, so I just want to make sure you're speaking up.
Okay, thank you. So last user meeting, we didn't review the fiscal year 2020 financials because we haven't had our comparable closed out. So last Thursday, we just have our comparable closed out. And so we have this updated June 2020 financials presented today. And this is including most of our 2020 costs, except the we haven't got the pension and OPEB adjustment yet, and also they might have the auditor's adjustment will include it in this financial in the future. So again, this is unaudited financial report for fiscal year 2020. I will review quickly for the annual data with the commissioners and mayor today. So let's start it with the electric division. So annual electric revenue of 47 million is 1.6% or 754,000 under budget and 2.5% less than last year. So residential sales and commercial sales are under budget by 1.1% and 5.9% respectively. While the industrial manufacturing and non-manufacturing sales are over budget by 1.1 and 2.1% respectively. This overview for the electric revenue. For annual operation maintenance are 5.7% below the budget. So the net income is 26.1% or $730,000 more than the budget. The favorable variance is mainly driven by the below budget operation and maintenance expense. You can see even though we have below the budget revenue, but we have a below budget power cost, so that offset itself. So the favorable variance in net income is mainly came from the below budget operation and maintenance expense. And for the whole the year, the total customer conservation funds collected from the customer are $906,000 for the year, and this $602,000 incurred for the customer conservation rebate plus the admin cost. So as end of the fiscal year 2020, there's still 1.4 million remaining funds are available on the conservation and load management account held at the Senate fund. So this is kind of the highlights for the electric division, the financial performance for fiscal year 2020.
Any questions on electric? Commissioner Schlow?
What constitutes a cooling day and heating day?
Oh, okay, sorry. So I have the annual heating and cooling degree days total here. So for 2020, the heating degree days and cooling degree days are less than last year by 4% and 9% respectively.
Okay, my question was, what constitutes a cooling day? What constitutes a heating day? Is it a temperature number?
Correct.
It's when the average temperature for the day exceeds, I'm not gonna commit on the number, 60 degrees. When the average temperature is over, if it is 60, it may be 65. It's considered a cooling degree day. When it's colder than that, it's considered a heating degree day. It's due to the average temperature, and I'm not sure where it crosses.
So for example,
I hear where you're at. George, excuse me, Commissioner Sullivan, I'm not sure what that is. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, okay, do you need AC or do you need heat? But there's got to be you're right, there has to be a threshold, you know, once you're above a certain temperature,
Right.
or maybe, and I don't know if it's a finite temperature or if there's a variance of spread.
I can make a quick example here. For example, if today's temperature is 80 and the threshold is 65, so the counted as 15
Cooling day.
as cooling days for today. So they accumulate for the month.
I'll read it. Degree days are defined as the number of degrees by which the average daily temperature is higher than 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooling degree days or lower than 65 degrees Fahrenheit, heating degree days. Degree days reflect changes in climate and are used as a proxy for the energy demand for heating and cooling buildings.
So I will tell you, it is important because it dictates usage. But for CMAQ, when they're purchasing bulk power, they use that, you know, to forecast, because they're looking out sometimes months in advance to buy large chunks of energy. And they're looking at heating and cooling degree. So the variances, for example, if they're expecting, you know, a cooling day, and all of a sudden the temperatures are nice, and they don't have to cool off, then they may have bought excess energy that they can't do anything with. And so, I mean, because they're hedging the markets all the time to do this. And sometimes, I mean, in the summertime, you know, we'll say, okay, here's what the average is. All of a sudden, we'll get a huge day, and that's when our microgens will pick up for the excess load to try to offset peaks. Did that answer your question, Ish? Okay. All right, any other questions on electric?
I do. Conservation
Commissioner
fund.
Sullivan?
Who sets the amount that goes in the conservation fund? Is that state mandated for a certain amount?
It was years ago. Yes.
Because of that, lot of
It actually is a lot of money, and certain customers might not pay it if they do manufacturing, or if they can claim that they do demand response separately. We do have a couple of customers who don't pay that. However, most of the large customers do pay it and actually take advantage. Some of our larger customers get hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of rebates every year. In a lot of our, you've seen us giving checks for all the others.
Right.
It is a lot of money, and actually promoting, one of the things to think about, promoting electric heat pumps for water use, promoting heat pumps for heating and cooling of buildings, like we've been doing with our conservation program, actually bring up electrical demand, and it's good for the electric company. And it's also good because it saves customers a lot of money.
Yeah, this is actually the mandatory the charge, and you can see the rates is on the defined.
It is a lot of money.
Yeah, and this is really with our customer rates, and so far it's only one manufacturing the industrial non-manufacturing are exempt from this compensation charge, and for Basra side and that big customer is exempt from compensation charge. Other than that, our customer is supposed to charge the completion fees like the monthly bills.
There probably shouldn't be that much money in there if people knew it was there and they could get reimbursed for what they buy. Because I know people that, put a bunch of stuff in and never applied for it.
One of the, you may see when it comes up in the strategic session, is refining and improving the communications on conservation programs.
Okay, anything else on the line? Thank you, Edie. Water?
So, for water, the annual water revenue, total 10.7 million is 1.4% or 150,000 more than the budget, and 3.7% more than last year. Residential and hydrants are on targeted budget. Industrial sales are 16.8% over the budget, and commercial and sales for resale are under budget by 10%, 10.3% and 7.9% respectively. The water annual operation maintenance expense are 9.6% below the budget, and net earnings before the DWSRF grants are 168.9% or 2 million over the budget. The favorable variance is driven by the over budget revenue plus the below budget operation maintenance expense and the delay of the PPA to the consent agreement project. So for the water treatment plant project, as end of June 2020, the total 43.4 million has been incurred for the water treatment plant project. The total 42.7 million has been received from the state, including 11.9 million from the grants and 30.8 million from the low interest loan. At end of June 30, 2020, total 3.4 million restricted in cash for the water treatment plant operate. And this money is going to be used to pay for the debt principal and interest when it started. So this is total over review for the water division for financial. Any questions?
Any questions on water? Hearing none, thank you, Edie. Please go to sewer.
For sewer division, annual sewer revenue of 4.6 million is 18.9% or 732,000 more than the budget and 7% more than last year. So all three categories, residential, commercial, and industrial sales exceeded the budget by 1.7%, 5.4%, and 32.1% respectively. For annual operation maintenance expense are 12.7% below the budget, and net income from operation for the year 2020 is 202.7% or 1.2 million more than budget, mainly due to the over budget revenues, plus the below budget the operation and maintenance expense. And the cash balance at the end of the year for sewer department is 3 million. And this is overall for sewer. We have very good year for sewer for revenue.
Okay, do you want to talk generally, not specific, about why industrial revenue is up? This is deduct meters, right?
Correct.
So can we talk generally without revealing specifics?
We do have a very large industrial customer that has a deduct meter on their cooling system, water that does not return to the sewer. And they've been having issues with those meters because they can't stand by the meters and they're not documentable and backupable. Currently, the deduct is not applying, and the sewer account is taking the favorability of the revenue side to do that.
So that's why we had the increase in the revenue on the industrial side. Now, how long will this, because of the contract, roughly how long will we expect to see this positive impact?
Aaron is on, if I'm misspeaking, I believe it's this last month, this month, and next month, Aaron. Am I off one set of months?
No, I think you're right. It's going to be approximately at minimum a 3 month, but it depends how quickly they can fix and resolve. It may actually be longer.
Okay, so there's a potential for an increase in sewer revenue because these deduct meters are either not operational or not accurate, so therefore they are offline. So therefore they can't determine the amount of water they need to deduct that are going to the towers. And so they get charged for the water usage because they don't give us the deduct. Once they get this fixed, and we're gonna go back to the normal revenue projection based on actual usage from last year. Everybody, that makes sense to everybody?
So this is temporary.
It's temporary. It's only gonna be for about 3 months, maybe 4.
Although water usage in the city is higher than budget in general right now. So there is favorability in the sewer account due to that. Just like water, the water account, if you look at the current month, the water usage is up. So maybe due to the drought, maybe due to something else. So that does bring favorability to the water account and the sewer account.
Well, we've also noticed that during the COVID period, a lot of people were being home, and so therefore that has resulted in some cases in increased water usage due to cooking, dishes, laundry, those kinds of things.
And the decrease in commercial.
And the decrease in commercial. That is correct. You are correct. Okay, anything else on, so Commissioner Giuliani?
Is there gonna be a makeup for the last 3 months? Or are they just gonna start over with the new month once they get their system back?
Once the system comes back and it becomes validated,
Right.
which it takes a month or two to validate it, it'll resume deduct with no backlog.
Okay.
All right, and so that wraps up the financials. Any other questions? All right, moving on. We will projects initiatives update. The first one is COVID-19 update. Mark, I'm sorry, E.
I just finished reviewing the 2020, and we also have the July, the monthly financial. Do you want to go quickly?
Yes, I'm sorry. My apologies. Yes, please do the monthly financial for June.
Okay.
You guys okay with that or no?
Yeah, that was June you just did, right? They closed out of 2020.
Yeah,
We're gonna do.
Now we're going to have the July.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at July financial package, and I think we're going to start with electric, and so for revenue. And July electric revenue for the month is 4.2% over the budget, and again, the residential and sales, residential and industrial, non-manufacturing sales exceeded the budget by 10.2% and 25.8% respectively, and commercial sales are 11.2% below budget, like the other months around 10% below the budget. For the month of July, cooling degree days are 13% less than last July. Operation and maintenance expense for July are for electric are 13.6% below the budget, and net income is 255% more than the budget due to the below budget operation and maintenance expense. And the compensation fund, there's $80,000 collected and $49,000 expended for rebate and the admin cost. So 1.5 million remaining and end of July 31st and on the compensation fund held in CNEC. And another thing is new for the July is CNEC just announced the equity distribution for the calendar year of 2019, and for GEO portion is 2.8 million transferred to the risk stabilization funds held in CNEC account.
Training. That training, the doc.
Okay.
So this is overall for the electric division for July.
Okay,
Any questions?
questions, Commissioner Zuliani?
Thames Valley Communication bond interest, when will that end?
Okay, Vanessa?
The Thames Valley Communication TVC bond interest? We pay quite a bit of money each month. When is the date of the termination of those bonds? I mean, I know
It's about
you don't have the top of your head on.
It's 28, 29. The last payment. So when you, all right, let me answer your question directly, and then I want to break it down because it's a little more complicated. The last payment, I think, is February of 29, February, March, April. It's in the spring of 29, if I remember correctly from my brief a year or so ago. We're actually paying 2 or 3 bonds.
Yeah.
And so one of them matures, one or more matures in 28. And then the final one matures in 29. So to answer the specific question, when are we done paying TBC bond? That's in 29. That's when we're totally, completely done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but it staggers. There's a 28, 29 component of it. So we'll see a reduction in the bond payments in 28 sometime,
Right.
and then they should be complete in 29.
Yeah.
So that will be potentially an increase in revenue, a recognized, since the expense is gone,
Yeah.
of about $4 million a year, right? Is that, where are we? I should look it up, it's right here.
It shows on the page 5, if you look, and the TVC bond principal requirement is $147,000 a month, and the interest is about 45,000 monthly.
Okay, so we're talking about $200,000 a month, more or less. So 12 months, we're talking 2.4 mil, not 4 million, about 2.4 million is what we're talking about.
No, it's 45 million a month. You're talking 500.
Well, that's the interest.
Yeah.
So you got the
you're
principal,
talking
I'm talking total principal and interest.
Okay.
Sorry, I may not have been clear. So I think we're around $2 to $2.4 million. That's and for those people, say again?
There's about 14 million left.
Yeah. And one of the things that I looked at when I first got here as the mayor was, let's get rid of this. Let's pay it off. Let's do a balloon, not necessarily a balloon payment, but let's pay off an extra $1 million a year, extra $100 million a year. The challenge is, when I went and talked to Ron Hughes about this, is there's a penalty for early payment. So as optimistic as I was and wanted to get out from underneath this, there's a cost to doing so, and it did not appear to be financially beneficial to us to do that. Now, we can go back and reevaluate that, and maybe we will, but at this point, this is the cost of doing business. We had a business. That business was sold. When we sold the business, every possible scenario that we looked at left the debt with the utility. And it was $28 million at one point. We've continued to pay down, and it's going to be with it. It's the gift that keeps on giving us. We're going to have it until 2029. And people can complain about it and everything else, but it is what it is. It is now an expense. It's a monthly expense. It is an obligation that we incurred. And so therefore we're meeting that obligation, and we get through it. So anything else on electric?
And you will see the TBC obligation tracked on the balance sheet.
Right.
Yeah, on the page 4 and line 38, TVC balance, balance is 40 million. That's July.
Anything else on electric? Okay, water?
So water total revenue for the month is 1.8% more than the budget. Residential and industrial sales exceeded the budget by 5.9% and 13.4% respectively, while the commercial sales and sales for resale are below budget by 11.9% and 8% respectively. Operation maintenance expense for June are 14.6% below the budget, and net earnings before the DWSI grant are $244,000 more than the budget. And the favorable variance is driven by the over budget revenue, the under budget operation maintenance expense, and also the delay of the DPH projects. And water treatment project updates as of July 2020, 43.9 million has been incurred, and the total 43.4 million has been received from the states, including the 12.1 million from the grants and 31.3 million from the loan. And the water restricted cash 3.4 million for the water treatment plant project to pay the maintenance interest. So this is overall for the water division for month of July. Any questions?
Anything on water? Okay, thank you. Sewer?
Sewer total revenue for the month of July is 28.7% more than budget, and mostly driven by the industrial sales, which exceeded the budget by almost 50%, which was the results the reason is due to the double order from one of the industrial customers. And the commercial sales are 1.9% under the budget. Operation maintenance expense for July are 36.4% below the budget, and net income is $208,000 more than the budget due to the over budget, the revenue, and plus on the budget the operation maintenance expense. Sewer cash at the end of the month had a balance of 3.4 million account. So this is overall for the sewer division for July.
Okay, any question on that? Sewer? Melissa, sorry.
Good job.
Apologies. Are there any, for those of us that are following along, are there any questions on financials? Goodness gracious. Hey, I obviously have none. Okay, all right, we'll move on to projects and initiatives update. COVID-19, Mark, I assume this is you?
Yes, sir, it is. All right, so in the state of Connecticut today, there's 47 patients in the hospital. Out of the 47, there's only 2 patients east of the Connecticut River. So there's 0 in Tolland County, 0 in Windham County, and 2 patients in the hospital in the London County. There have been no deaths in the last 24 hours attributed to COVID-19, and Connecticut is still leading the country in our infectivity rate, which is less than 1%. It's been hovering around 0.6 to 0.7 something percent for about 6 or 7 weeks now. So that's very good. As far as Groton Utilities goes, we've had no cases of COVID in any employee. We have had a few people get tested, but those were all negative. We continue on with our COVID protocols. The buildings and facilities remain locked down. Visitors are permitted with, after they complete a COVID questionnaire and management approves them for entry. We continue with our enhanced cleaning. That includes a biweekly disinfection of our facilities by an outside vendor, both here and in Basra. We continue on with daily attendance, and we reconcile every absentee person to make sure that it is non-COVID related. We have continued, we've scaled back to a once a week COVID call, And we would, if we had a positive hit, we would have an ad hoc call when we saw that. Additionally, there is still, people are wearing masks when they can't socially distance correctly. And that goes for all personnel. And we do have testing available if required as essential workers in the state of Connecticut. And we've had a few people take advantage of that. But so far, so good. Eastern Connecticut has been the place to be for COVID. Anybody have any questions?
And just to jump off of that, to let you know, I am looking at when to bring back employees to the municipal building on both sides and when to open the building. I was waiting on phase 3, but I'm not sure we're going to get to a phase 3. The governor's executive orders and his authorization under the Emergency Powers Act expire 9 September. Unless they get extended, I've talked to the Council of Governments about what that means. I'm going to be talking to my attorney about what that means. Does that mean we go back to an automatic reset to pre-COVID? And what does that mean? But as I, as a municipality, can I institute a no shirt, no shoes, no service policy here, knowing that the pandemic is still full in play? But what I'm looking to do is to bring the employees back the week of the 31st, allow people to come in to conduct business, but on the day after Labor Day or the Wednesday after Labor Day. Haven't fully decided yet. We're going to have sanitation stations. We'll have a concierge set up. We're going to have signs out front that say TVC is not doing business here. So we'll eliminate those. We'll eliminate that population of people at the sidewalk before they even get up the stairs. Then we're going to take down all the montage and collage that we have now. We'll put up some new signs: no mask, no service, or you don't get to come in, no mask, no entry. The concierge will be there. Be the first step. If somebody comes in, they don't have a mask, sorry, you can't come in. You need to go get a mask. And then the question is, where are you going? And if it's, I want to go to customer service, the question is, are you making a cash payment? Or are you making a regular payment? If they're making a regular payment, we'll tell them where the drop box is. And then if they're making a cash payment, then we'll do cash payments. But what we're doing is we've implemented the electronic pay. We're in the beta of that now. We're doing phone call pays, and we're doing the drop box. So far, we've been able to do that. We've been successful at doing that, and we intend to continue using that as a model going forward as our business model for how we're going to take payments. There's no real reason and benefit to touching stuff and to passing underneath the glass. Now, we do have plexiglass installed. We're going to put arrows up. Like I said, we're going to have sanitation stations there. We'll have a concierge that's there. They'll be stationed with phone numbers. We'll give them a phone. And if we need to get people to different places through appointments and things like that, we'll do that. But that's where we're looking at going with the municipality. I've asked Deb Patrick, the city clerk, to reach out to other municipalities to see what they're doing, and there's a mismatch. We're all over the place. So we're not the donut hole that I thought we were, but some people are open for full business. Other people are open and they're doing appointments only. Other people are closed 100%, like we still are. And so it depends on how much service, how much things you do. We don't have taxes here, so we're not going to get the throughput that the town gets, right? Our Parks and Recs program now, we're not going to do a fall program, with the exception of like the scarecrow thing and stuff like that. But, so there should be a need for a lot of people coming in. Deb Patrick, the clerk, doesn't get a lot of traffic. So Carlton Smith sometimes gets it, but that will set that up by appointment only. And so far, we've done that. That's worked well. The big traffic is TVC. The TVC with Atlantic Broadband, they've changed their business model. Their business model now is that they're not taking direct payments. Everything is through the mail and electronic. So they're not even bringing their customer service people back into the area. So all we have is our customer service, and Tina briefed me on what she's looking at, what she's looking to do, and it is reasonable and it's practical and it'll work. So that's it. Any questions on that? Okay, speaking of Tina, you want to talk about accounts receivable?
Sure. Actually, we have got an uptick of about 3%. We are sitting at about 10% age, which is 31 plus. So we are continuously calling customers, trying to get them on some type of payment arrangement or having them continuously pay. With the deferred 3 months with the town and the city, how they handled the taxes, it also included the utility services. So at this point, we are unable to do any interruption of service for non-payment until October 1st. What that does is, as of November 1st, anybody that is getting any type of assistance or any type of medical concerns in their household, we cannot shut off or interrupt their service for non-payment until May 1st. So we have continuously been sending the shut-off notices to the customers, telling them they, this is just, an intermittent thing. They need to continue to make their payments. And like I said, we're calling, but we have seen a roughly about a 3% increase. We still only sit at 10%, which is actually pretty good overall compared to a lot of the other municipals or the utilities, but it is high for us as Groton Utilities.
So to put this in perspective, we're basically going to have 1 month to try to collect everything before the 1 November hits in, where you get into, now this is, Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may have misinterpreted this. You can't shut off power to those people that have signed up for a program, right? It's not carte blanche, it's selective. Is that close?
It's anybody, you can't interrupt anybody's service if they have any type of medical tag on their home, whether it's life-threatening or serious illness. If they are getting any type of assistance, you can't interrupt their service. So if they're getting social services, TVCCA, you can't interrupt their services. And it's obviously then on top of all that, you can't interrupt anybody if the temperature is under 45 degrees.
Okay. So it's not like we're looking to hurt people and to kick people out, but it would be nice if people would pay some of their bill. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get some of the bills paid off, and some of the people are paying full.
Yeah, we have a large, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge percentage of our customers, which is good. Obviously, you're only looking at 10% of the overall dollars. We're not looking at a huge percentage of customers that are not paying their bills. One where we're getting hit with the most is with some of the commercial customers. The hotels, the restaurants, in some of those places, they're slow pay. They're paying, but they're slow pay. So that's where a lot of it's coming from too.
And I think for the commercial guys, once the moratorium is off, or not the moratorium, the extension is off, then they'll pay in full or pay, get closer to back on track. And when this revenue will come back up again, so we'll be fine. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Tina, is there anything else on the customer service that you'd like to talk about that maybe I miscommunicated or didn't cover?
No. I think we're good.
Okay. PFAS action plan. Who's speaking to that? Is that gonna be Jeff?
That's going to be Rick.
Okay, sorry, Rick.
Well, just as an overview, for months we've been explaining that the federal government, through the state government health agencies, has directed utilities to test for perfluoridated compounds in their source water. And some utilities have chosen to test in their finished water as well. So we've been working at this behind the scenes. I know COVID has taken number one, but this is still a regulatory requirement. So we've been working on it, and I believe what was presented to you was a narrative and then like a one-page action plan. And if you have that on your tablet, we're at the right-hand side lower, where we're presenting this to the Utility Commission. We informed previously, and now we're looking for action to approve the plan going forward and its final submittal to the health agencies, DPH, Ledge Light, and then to go forward with the one-page handout to our customers. And I think in the one-page handout to our customers, it's important to see that all of Groton Utilities drinking water testing results have shown the levels are safe in relation to state and federal guidelines. We continuously monitor to ensure these levels remain low. And the health agencies have already seen all our results, and they've seen our action plan. They made a few comments on amendments, and we've integrated them into this final draft plan, which you have before you. So just to sum it up, then we'll send the final action plan to DPH, to Ledge Light, and then we'll move forward, probably working with Tina and working with Dan to put this out on our website and to advise our customers. But it's all good news. And don't forget, we're analyzing in, it's like a new world for us because we're analyzing in parts per trillion. And in our handout to the public, we explain that 1 part per trillion, and we're looking at it like where we saw 2 parts, is equivalent to a single drop of water in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So we can't even conceive of how low that is. We also advised our customers where the PFAS come from in the environment. And it's kind of a little bit of sidebar. When we sample for this, the person who does the sampling can't have had any fast food, microwave popcorn, pizza. They can't wear fire protective clothing. They have to wear special clothing. So they're like suited up as if they were going on a Mars excursion. And that's when they collect the sample, and they have the controls as well, because sometimes it could be an atmospheric pollutant. So we've taken it seriously. It's a regulation, and we just wanted to get your approval then to move final forward.
And just to remind the commission members, if you remember, I don't remember if it had to be last year that the subbase was doing all the testing around there because there was a big issue about aqueous firefighting foam and those kind of things, and worried about the aquifers and those kinds of things. We've been sampling since before then, and we're continuing to sample now. We found there's nothing. We're not finding anything in the water that's not detectable with the analysis that we're using. And so when the base did their analysis, they didn't find any issues. We didn't have any issues with our aquifers. And so we're continuing our testing. But I just want to remind people that, or remind commissioners rather, that this has been an issue, and this is a nationwide thing. It got some local press because of the base issues. And then we've embraced it. We've been looking at it, and we've been testing all along. And we don't have any issues with any of this. The reason this is so bad is this is a carcinogen, and meaning cancer causing and those kind of things. So, and it does not take a lot to cause bad things to happen. But
just to clarify, Mayor, so it's not that it's not detected. So it was detected in several locations.
okay.
Limit is 70 parts per trillion. The action level for that is 35, and we're at less than 5.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I thought that I had heard that in a couple areas, we were NDA, non-detectable activity. But then again, this is new news, so that's good. Thank you, Rick, for the update. Councilor Zuliana, Commissioner Zuliana.
Do we have our own clean room or sanitary? I don't know what you call it. Do you do these testing in?
So we have to send these tests out. They're very advanced technology to do the tests. We collect the samples, but we send the samples out.
So it's controlled sampling, and then they send it out to the test lab.
We don't do it in-house.
Correct. Okay, anything else on that, Rick?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, old business, PAF other update. Mark?
Yes, sir. The situation at the PAF, we are monitoring the air coming out of the stack. Joe typically is checking that twice a day. We are working on a permanent solution where we'll have continual metering and 24/7 there. However, we've not been able to correlate any of the results with the dates that Mr. Spano has said he smelled things, and all of the results when we check it at the PAF have been negative for hydrogen sulfide. So I think that's the air monitor issue. We are working on getting a continuous meter there, but so far we've not detected anything in our in our intermittent checks. Relative to the primary pump has no impact on odor, and it doesn't have any operational impacts because we do have backup pumps, right? So that has no relevance here to the odor issue or the perceived odor issue. All of the primary tanks, all of the final tanks, and the chlorine contactor have had all maintenance completed on them. They've been cleaned, had all maintenance done on them.
Okay.
The system that we installed, the Evoqua bioxide injection system, is an automated system and does read out 24/7, 365. And we have an alarm level set at 10 ppm for hydrogen sulfide, and we have no issues detected as of today. We've even measured in the head tank. We have no hydrogen sulfide there, and the lines were jetted on Thames Street to ensure that we had good flow and they were clean. So all in all, the plant continues to run well. We continue to work off those engineering issues to try and narrow this down and pinpoint. But again, we cannot correlate odor issues with Mr. Spano's dates. We are commissioning an engineering assessment of the entire PAF. We'll take another look at the systems down there. And one of the big focus points will be the scrubber. But again, the plant is running well, as the other independent set of consultants, Hazen and Sawyer, said. But we're taking this seriously. We'll continue to investigate and track this down as we can here. So, anybody have any questions?
Commissioner Zuliana?
Other than Sam's communication with us by written each month, and his visits here when he was allowed before COVID, is Sam in direct contact with the plant itself? Is he reaching out when the day an incident happens to maybe do a quick action reaction? I don't know what is there any communication between the plant and him going on at all?
Yes, there is. He calls in to one of the management team anytime he has an odor issue, and we go check. And to this day, we've not been able to correlate any of his concerns with an odor issue at the plant. Other than there are things that we give him preemptive notice, right? When we're going to pump sludge and stuff like that, he gets a notice ahead of time from the PAF. And of course, when you're stirring that stuff up or pumping it around, but proactively, we're doing that.
Any other commissioner? Commissioner, let's go. Commissioner Goddard?
Have there been any other complaints?
There have been 0 complaints.
Commissioner Dewar?
Mark, when did the bioxide start to flow?
About 6 or 7 weeks ago, I believe. It was prior to the previous UC meeting, so I think it was about 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
So let me go through the letter, the email rather that Sam sent today. I want to ask a couple pointed questions. So the permanent air monitor for the top of the scrubber stack has not been installed. Are we going to install that? Is there a plan to do that?
Yeah, well, there is an air monitor there. It doesn't have a continuous readout, and that's what we're doing right now. Joe Pratt is working with an electrician to get conduit run, and so we have a continuous readout of that. But there is a monitor there. So there's a pitot tube in the stack, and we're gonna convert it over so that we can, show continually.
Okay.
How often is that scrubber readout done? And how long will it take to get that thing on a 24/7 process?
I think it's going to take us another week to get the conduit run and the meter in place. We're working with Woodward and Curran to do that. The actual meter can be physically read at any time. It's on the round sheets for the PAF. They do it at least twice a day and record it, but it can be read, manually at any time.
So Mark, they're bringing it into the SCADA system?
Yes, Ron. That's what we're trying to do to make it easier on everybody.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yep.
So you said that you cannot find the correlation of data or a trend associated with the dates that Sam provided. Can we get somebody to go physically talk to Sam and explain that to him and address his concerns?
Yeah, we've done that. We'll be happy to do it again.
Yep, let's do it again.
Okay.
And then he agrees that the backup pump has nothing to do with the other. The impression I got from here is that it's an abundance of caution to have the additional backup pump installed. Where are we on installing that last pump?
I can take that, Mark.
Go ahead, Rick. You can answer that question.
So regarding like Mark mentioned before, I think we're talking about the primary pumps.
Yes.
So we have 3 primary pumps there. There's
Correct.
one out of service. So right now, Hayes Pump, who supplied it, has sent a check, and they have paid for another installer to do the fabrication work that needs to be done so that pump will go into service. So we're going to have a local fabricator we've worked with modify the existing pump connection. It's not the pump, but the pump connection. And we're going to start that work. That'll probably be done next week. But you're right, it's a backup, Mayor, but there's 2 other pumps that are fully in operation. And that does not relate at all to any odors. Bless you.
Absolutely. And it's a separate issue, but while he was writing his email, might as well just put everything in there. And so that's the kitchen sink item. All right. Anything else from the commission on PAF? All right. PCBs. Mark, would you give us an update on PCBs?
Yeah. So the good news is that the soil pile over here in operations is down to just about 20 yards or so from 3,500 yards. Originally recall that, the potential was we might have to dispose of 3,500 cubic yards of dirt. And it looks like now that's down to about 22 yards that we may have to dispose of. And that is with an aggressive, sampling program. Ray and Paul Muniz have done a fantastic job of managing this problem down. The soil's actually, if you come over here and look at the site, we're actually utilizing the soil to get the site graded off and get us back to looking more like a normal plant site. So, we've probably saved about $300,000 in disposal costs, less our independent consultant fee. So, I think this is a really good story on the PCBs and the soil issue. As you know, we continue to work the PCB issue in the plant. We have approval from the regional EPA administrator. Actually, they're going to start demo in Unit 2, I think. I think they started it on Monday.
It was started.
Yeah. So we're working through that. That's moving along. So I think we're coming to a conclusion with the PCB issue. Everything's been analyzed. It's now a matter of just finishing the execution here and tying up the loose ends.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Just good news, finally.
That is good news. All right, new business. Storm, is ES performance review?
Okay, so this is Mark again. So as you know, a week ago, last Tuesday, we had Isaias come through. We had sustained winds right here in Groton of over 51 miles an hour for several hours. With that said, Groton Utilities and in the city of Groton, we wound up having about 2,182 people out of service, out of power at peak. The really good news is we restored them in about 6.5 hours after the winds subsided enough where we could go to work. So that is superior performance, and we're kind of our own worst enemy here because we do such a quick restoration in the city of Groton. As far as Basra Light and Power, at peak, there were about 1,335 customers out of service, and it took us about 96 hours, 4 days, to get that down to less than 1% of folks out. So, from my point of view as the general manager of operations, no one got hurt. We were restored ahead of all of the other utilities. I had done some damage assessment on my own and talked to Ron and said I thought it was a Friday night into Saturday morning issue, and we were restored by Friday evening. So again, that's pretty good. We managed the 16 and 8 schedule, so we did not have everybody on double time. That is a bone of contention that I've heard a lot of chin music in the last week about, but that meant we restored at a much lower cost than others by managing the restoration in a proper manner. We also fed the crews in the work centers, which saved us about 3 hours of productivity. That's something we haven't done before. All in all, our customers gave us pretty good reviews. Joe Courtney, said we hit it out of the park. And I believe we followed the contract to the T. And so in my book, this was a successful restoration. We actually provided, one other point, we did not use any mutual assistance, which is pretty good. We did look at it. Randy Surprenant is the regional mutual assistance coordinator. We were prepared to do that, but after I had done some damage assessment on my own and talked to Ron, we decided we could do this with our guys. So We were very successful using our own crews without mutual assistance, and we actually provided mutual assistance for 3 days to Eversource. We provided 2 service crews and a supervisor. So they went around. They were from Stonington to Higganum to Coventry to Madison, putting up house wire. So Eversource really appreciated our help, and it helps our relationship should we ever need help from them. Anybody have questions? That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Is there anything that you learned that you could do to be more preventive in the future?
So I forgot to mention that we did do a post-event critique. We did do post-event circuit patrols. And let me go back. So Commissioner Godley, I think you said, is there something we can do to prevent more or prevent outages? Well, yeah, there is. I think we've had a lot of success with tree trimming here in Groton and in Basra. If you look at, and actually Ron brought this up to me, Ron Gaudet brought this up to me, if you look at what we spend per customer on tree trimming, we spend far more than Eversource or UI on a per customer basis. So I think it's really paid off for us. We did send our 4 tree crews to Basra for 4 days straight to try and make sure that we could do enhanced tree trimming up there. I think we need to continue on that track. In addition, we definitely need to keep up with our pole inspections and programmatic pole replacements. We did have a few broken poles, much less than I anticipated. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised because broken poles really slow you down. But between our formal pole replacement program and tree trimming, those are some things that stick out immediately when you look at the post-storm critique.
Yeah, thank you. I thought it was a great job, and we didn't even have a flicker on our lights, so.
Mark, did you mention the cost of each area?
Oh, I see.
Oh, no, I didn't. Yi, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I'm going to bring this to the commissioner. So as of yesterday, we kind of tracked to see how much the cost for the both Geo and Basra. And as of yesterday, there's total like $24,000 spent on the Geo side for the storm events, and there's total 385 man hours recorded. For Basra side, this total 1,250 man hours spent, and the total is $157,000 cost for the cost. So, and that's the finance director who has said that this is already being announced as an emergency from the federal, so we're expected to get some FEMA reimbursed for the storm cost in the future.
Is that reimbursement 50%?
75.
75, okay. So I knew it wasn't 100, but I wasn't sure if it was 50 or 75.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. We did have outages. That is one of the main issues with the FEMA. It's not just standby, so we did have some outages. So, and it's only the overtime hours worked.
Anything else on that? Okay, moving on. We get into the action items. I need a motion for GUC WPCA 20-08-30. Consideration of an action to waive the bidding process, correction, the bidding requirement of policy 1004, policy and procedures governing the purchase practices of ground utilities and authorized ground utilities management to purchase a data storage array related to hardware and components, and 3 years maintenance and support from Gotham Technology Group, LLC, 5 Paragon Drive, Suite 103, Montville, New Jersey. The manufacturer is a value-added reseller for an amount not to exceed $160,477.35 to be paid from funds available on the 2020-2021 IT Department approved non-bonded capital projects, and that the city council be apprised of this with the recommendation that it concur.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, Ron?
Sue?
As you might recall, last year, October 2019, we performed a similar operation in the municipal building, replacing our aging data storage array. And this would be the sister system for the operations building data storage array. These are, as mentioned in the language here, they're critical to day-to-day operations, but also first and foremost, they are our first line of defense and provide us with backup and failover capabilities in the event of disaster response.
Okay, questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Stoll?
So this is Commissioner Scott. Do these two units back each other up? So is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
So if you should lose one, everything is in the other one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We actually have backups that extend further than that.
Okay. Commissioner Juliana?
The reason for not going to bid is because they're a primary vendor that we've used in the past. They're strongly associated with the system.
They are a primary vendor and manufacturer's reseller. We do have, I think we've brought this up in several previous purchases. You are restricted, once you select your technology, you are restricted to purchase through manufacturers, value-added resellers. And they are a company that we've done business with in the past. And the equipment that we're purchasing is the same manufacturer as what we put in the municipal building.
Any other questions, Commissioner? Commissioner Stoll?
What's the life expectancy on a unit like this?
The units that we have now are that were put in place in 2010, but with all technology, there's a limited expectation. These would probably be in the 10-year variety because of the significant change in technology since our previous purchases. The life expectancy and continuing cost for maintenance will be significantly less with this equipment than our current equipment. The equipment we have now, it's over $80,000 per year to just have continuing maintenance and support. These will be significantly less and we'll get automatic updates with every passing year.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Need a motion?
Thank you.
for GUC? Thank you, Sue.
Welcome.
I need a motion for GUC WPCA 20-08-31. Consideration of an action to authorize Groton Utilities Management to approve change order number 18 from RH White Construction Company Incorporated, 41 Central Street, Auburn, Massachusetts, for which includes a credit and revisions to the existing plan as part of the State of Connecticut Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF, project number 2013-0140, which has been approved by the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health, DPH, an amount not to exceed $77,559.58. And furthermore, the City Council be apprised of this action with a recommendation to concur, and Mayor Keith Hedrick be authorized to execute the change order number 18.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Who's gonna?
Is Ray in the room? Mark, who is going to?
No, hang on. Rick's here. Ray's on vacation. Go ahead, Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is Rick. As the mayor mentioned, this is a consolidation of PCOs, 4 PCOs and 1 credit. It's been vetted by the contractor, by the engineer, by our project management staff and Ray, who's the project engineer, and by the state health department. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but I can go over it. The credit is for the elimination of dehumidification. The extras are a relocation of some piping to the main floor, and that would be for health and safety of our operational staff if we ever have to do any work on that piping. And there's some supports that had to be put in place for additional piping that conflicted with other piping in the project. And there are some breakers that we found didn't automatically reset on power failure, and that would be for process control instruments. They're going to be replaced. And then there's, in doing what we used to call the sludge pumping station, which is now the spent backwash station, we needed a new water service. So at the time of construction, we wanted to consolidate that, installing that water service to that station. Those are all the items, and as the mayor mentioned, they consolidate to a total price of the $77,000.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions from the commission?
Yeah.
Commissioner Duarte.
The dehumidification, why was that in the plan? And the reason I'm asking is I'm trying to determine what the loss of not having this dehumidification is going to have. So can you explain to me what the dehumidification was for, what it did achieve, and what the loss is now?
Sure. Well, the dehumidification, as you know, it's to get the humidity out from the atmosphere. But if you've been over to the DAF building, it's quite a large building. So it's not like a small basement. It's very large. The dehumidification in the contract, when we did the value engineering, we questioned why we really needed it in just one location of the whole facility. And being that they're putting the stainless steel piping in, rather than what we have in the plant now, the cast iron, and they're not painting any of the walls, they're leaving them more all natural for concrete. We felt from the start that we really didn't need it. So it'll be a savings of that, but also the operational savings of running the dehumidification, and running it in just one location when everything is really open to the air really didn't make a lot of sense. So that's.
So you're not concerned that this humidity inside a structure that large is not going to condense, form on pipes and drip water onto the floors and things like that?
Yeah, it's been vetted out on the value engineering. It's been vetted out by our engineers and discussed with RH White and discussed with Stantec, the design engineer.
Okay.
Any other questions on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Need a motion for GUC WPCA 20-08-32, consideration of an action to authorize Groton Utilities Management to award the Walker Hill prefabricated pump station contract to United Concrete Products Incorporated, 173 Church Street, Yellsville, Connecticut, at an amount not to exceed $811,541.00 based on their bid in the amount of $762,896.00 to include inspections and an additional $48,645.00 for a 5% contingency to be paid from the approved 2012 and 2016 Water Bond Fund program. And that furthermore, that the city council be appraised of this action with the recommendation that it concur and Mayor Keith Edrick be authorized to execute contract documents and the city clerk to affix the city seal thereto.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Who wants to talk about the Walker Hill project? And Rick again?
Yeah, this is Rick. So in terms of the bid itself, we received 4 bids, and this was definitely the lowest bid. In terms of vetting the company, they actually did Holmberg Pump Station, which we actually are involved in the maintenance and the service of. They did an excellent job. This has been in the works for a while, like Ron Uhas knows, as he sees the date to 2012. Originally, we were going to rebuild the Long Hill Pump Station in situ, in that place it is. But as we were able to do Walker Hill standpipe, we realized that siting it at Walker Hill would be much more advantageous because the suction would be right from the tank that's on site. So this new station has room for 3 pumps, each at 1,300 gallons per minute. We're only going to install 2 pumps and leave it open for the third. It's of modular construction, so there'll be pre-established concrete parts to it. They'll be bolted together. In terms of the site layout, they're doing the final design now, but we had already established a site and we already did some preliminary excavation. We just have to determine if we're going to put in an actual foundation, or I think the new construction calls for just grade beams. So we're just waiting for them to make those final decisions. And then our engineer here is working with their engineers and refining the design on that project as well. But it's going to be a great improvement into our system. And I don't see there's any reason why we wouldn't proceed. But I'll take any questions.
Any questions? If you've been up to Walker Hill recently, there's some construction, and we've already done some excavation, and we talked about putting the pumps up there at the new water tower that we have up there now. Commissioner Dula.
So Rick, is this going to eliminate the Long Hill pump station?
No, it will not, because well, I know you know the actual location of Long Hill.
Yep.
Long Hill, where the pumps are, I got my math right, over 65 years old. What we'll end up doing is we'll have at least 1 jockey pump in there so that we can keep that water fresh along that main road there. So that station will be operated periodically. Also, it'll be a standby station in an emergency. Say if we had a fire or some other incident for another failure. But the main pump station will be the Walker Hill pump station that'll pull suction from Walker, just like Gunjuan pulls suction from Walker now, low service to go to high service. Walker will do it much easier and with less electrical use and less disturbance of the system.
And wasn't Long Hill scheduled to be rebuilt?
Yes, that's why the dates there, where it pinches back to the 2012 date in terms of the bond fund. Long Hill was scheduled to be rebuilt, but when Bruce was on the Walker Hill standpipe and meeting with the other engineers and the fact of what we're going to do, we realized that it would be more efficient to have Walker have a pump station right there. And we did some piping modification. So that's been done to facilitate this as well.
Okay, well, are you going to have to get back in the road again to fix this, to accommodate this?
No.
No. Very good. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, any other new Commissioner comment?
So Rick, this is an all-in price, the pumps installed and everything?
Yes, this is all in. It's a modular construction, but this is an all-in price for this project with, I think, a 5% contingency. Yeah, and it includes the generator too. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Giuliani, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to figure out this 5% contingency, the 48,000. That doesn't equate to 801,000 of the 762,000. Is it?
Okay.
I don't understand.
See, it's what happens when you give somebody a calculator. All right, so you're saying the math doesn't.
If I take the 811,541, which is the total project, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, at 5%, that turns out to be 40,577.
No, you have to do the 762,896.
Okay, I did the 762,896, and that turns out to be 6.4%. It should be 38,144.
That's 5% of 762.
Bruce, I believe you did that calculation.
Is it 10,000?
I didn't. So if I can expand on that, the 38,144.80 is the 5% of the construction, and the other amount is for the project management inspection.
There's $10,000 in
Plus
there
inspection fees.
for labor.
Okay.
I think it mentions that in there, but it didn't break it down. I apologize.
Right, and I remember that was about $10,000.
It didn't break it down.
I saw the breakdown, I don't know if we included it.
Okay, okay. Any other questions on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. And lastly, need a motion for GUC WPCA 20-08-33, consideration of an action to authorize Groton Utilities Management to purchase a substation multifunction test set from Omnicron Electronics Corporation Incorporated, 3550 Willow Bend Boulevard, Houston, Texas, as a sole source provider for an amount not to exceed the quoted amount of $90,863.00 to be paid from the funds available in the 2020-2021 Electric Department approved non-bonded capital budget, and that the city council be apprised of this action with the recommendation that it concur.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Randy, are you gonna, is this yours?
Yes.
So we've expanded the test department. You can hear me okay, everyone? This is Randy.
Yes.
Omicron has become our preferred test platform. So they make multitude of equipment, one starting with their relay test set. So we have that test set. It's proven to be phenomenal as far as automated testing, reporting, et cetera. We have an adapter or another interface that allows us to test our reclosers, which are out in the field. And then this will complement that set as an additional piece of test equipment that allows us to do full function testing of our substation transformers. So we spend quite a bit of money every year. We'll have to obviously test, train, have our testmen trained up on this unit. It'll allow us to complement any services we have from the outside to test immediately after a potential fault, et cetera. So it allows us power factor testing, CT, PT, et cetera, all the ratios and electrical testing of our insulation and our standoff switching, et cetera, inside the substations. It's a huge undertaking, and we'll make sure that our testmen's trained specifically on that unit. But the interface, software, et cetera, mimics what we have already. So we're saving time and money by going with the same platform.
Okay, any question or comments from the commission?
Randy,
Yes,
you got an awful lot of bells and whistles on this.
yes. So with the new technologies, et cetera, and the new requirements, there's some NERC requirements that actually specify what we need to test and when. So it hasn't reached down into the substations yet, but we've got some under frequency load shedding testing, et cetera. That's required now with certain ramping requirements, et cetera. This will do most of that, if not all.
This is basically a TTR.
Yes, it's an extremely sophisticated TTR.
You can do power factor with this also.
Yes.
You can do power factor with the machines you have though, right?
Say that again?
You can do power factor testing with what you have.
I believe we can. This was, so we sent our test person to transformer testing training at the same location that their factory's at. They actually had this test set up, connected up to I think it was a 40 or a 50 megawatt transformer. And it allows for all the connections, et cetera, specifically for transformer testing. We have relay testers right now. We have recloser testers that are set up specifically for that type of testing.
So you can use this piece of equipment get your test department trained to do power factor tests on station transformers?
That's the plan.
Do we really want to do that ourselves?
Say that again?
Do we really want to do that ourselves, or?
Well, like I said, it'll complement what we have done. So right now we don't have a way to check what's being done, or if we have an immediate need, we don't have a way to do that right now. We've got to bring somebody in, and that's not always conducive. So, and if we have something that's suspect, or we have issues, we'd like to be able to test that in-house. So if anything would complement what we're doing with the vendors, it's probably roughly $35,000 to $40,000 to have transformers tested in-house. That's what we just got from looking through the purchase orders, et cetera. So it allows us to expand if we want to the smaller transformers pad mounts. I think we only test upwards of 3 megawatt right now, 3 MVA transformer.
Right.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. We have no executive session. I will now call for a recess. Noemi, how much time do we want for recess?
About 15 minutes.
How much?
15 probably,
Okay,
real
so
quick.
12:30?
Yeah.
Well, actually, 15 minutes will put us at, so let's go to 12:35.
Okay.
So we'll come back at 12:30. We'll call the meeting back to order to continue with the strategic planning portion of the meeting. So we are now in recess. Thank you, staff.